So this is installation of a K&N 577,000 air filter into a 2004 Porsche 911. Previously my video showed me opening up the box. What I've done now is I've just laid out all the parts and I've gone through the installation instructions and just sorted all the parts, made sure that I had them all available. You'll notice that the filter cover, fourth O-ring clamp comes with the air filter. These hose parts here are for if you have the Tiptronic vehicle. I have the manual where I won't be using those parts. These three L brackets here, you'll see them stamped with a number that matches up with the parts list. Has an item number here as well. Just for quick reference, this is the short, the long, and then the bracket that holds the heat shield to the trunk lock. So I highly recommend you go through everything, line up your bolts so you know which ones are which. Make sure you have all your parts. What I'm going to do now off camera is just lay it all out so that it matches up with the drawing here. I've already read through all the instructions, and after doing so I've decided that I won't quite follow them in order that they've put them down. What I'm going to do instead is build up the heat shield and put together all the pieces that can be done outside of the car, so that I'm not fiddling with the car when I don't need to. Alright, so I've organized some of the pieces. What I'm going to do now is assemble the heat shield. I've got a 10mm wrench, and this is the 5/32 Allen key. I've also collected other tools here. I believe the only one that I'll be using in this assembly is the socket, other than those two. So I'm just going to go ahead and start putting things together here. Like I said, I've organized all the bolts that I need for each section. And I'm just going to, for the most part, these bolts are a simple bolt washer, the piece, and then another washer, and then the nut. So what I've done there is just assembled the heat shield piece to the main heat shield. That's step 7 in the assembly. Going to attach the short L bracket, the long slot up with the circular slot down. And that was step 9 of the installation, the L bracket. Rubber grommet. I've actually taken the bolt and I've put the lock washer and the washer on it already. And that goes underneath the plate, up through the small hole. And that was step 10. So step 11, we'll attach the oil hose clamp bracket to the 07093 with the long end down. This is a 5mm M5 bolt. not the standard M6 that pre-thread the bolt into the clamp. Again, this is a 3mm Allen key, which was not listed on the tools required. Now this is what looks to be like an 8mm nut. Also not listed on the tools required. So again, a 3mm Allen key. Just slide that in there. $8mm wrench. Now I will install this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line up one edge flush here so that I only have to cut one side. So then this oil filler hose will go on at this location with a spacer. The large metal spacer goes in between the bracket and the heat shield. That'll hold the oil filler cap over top of your intake. Next step is to build up this here. So you start, this will have one of these hose clamps, will go around this bracket. One of these larger hose clamps, hopefully. We'll go around this bracket and clamp to the intake hose. So you'll see the beveling there. This goes there. This has the special countersunk bolt through the bracket, washer, and the regular nut. There is a larger lock nut, nylon lock nut. So right on this bolt, the bracket, washer, then the larger lock nut. Let's see what size this lock nut is. So 7/16, and it does fit the 7/16. Now you may consider not putting this piece on just yet. It occurs to me that it may get in the way when you're doing your fits on this into the car. The final piece are these standoffs here. Now it does make a note that some earlier model cars don't have 3, but rather just 2 of these holes to install into. There you have it. There's the heat shield assembly. Give you a close-up view. See the bolts here, the grommets. You can see this is an installed snugly around. See how it fits around this corner here, and this is where the back of the vehicle will hold it in, I am assuming. Oil filler clamp, and the bolts on the bottom here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to attach this peel and stick gasket onto my airflow meter. You'll notice there's 2 drilled holes and 2 threaded holes here. So if you line up the notches with the gasket, these corners should expose the through holes. You've lined up your corners, and then you're good to go. That concludes the assembly of the secondary parts, the heat shield, and we can move on to taking the stock air intake out of the vehicle.